Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. So over the last couple of weeks, we've been trashing on this absolutely garbage Alvin Bragg hush money case, and all of our commentary has been based on whatever information was available to us. The presumption was that the whole case was built around Michael Cohen as the star witness, just a convicted criminal perjurer, a notorious liar with a clear conflict of interest to get Donald Trump. We had a general understanding of what the case was. It wasn't anything new. A zombie case from back in 2018 revived. From the Democrat perspective, supposedly resurrected in full form, but in reality, this undead case was revived as a Dr. Frankenstein abomination. Nothing has changed. There's no new information. Most of our opinions were based off of the information that we had, but people, including myself, kept saying we don't know what's in the indictment officially, so we'll have to see once all the information releases. The indictment has finally been released, and well, even partisan left-wing CNN Democrats admit that it's, quote, underwhelming. That's one way to put it. We got some stuff to get into. Let's take a look at this indictment. Let's take a look at what the news and some legal experts are saying, so you know what that means. Let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so all of this hype, all of this buildup, Donald Trump is definitely going down this time. These Democrats keep doing it to themselves over and over again. All of the suspense to lead to this.
Case may be or may not be. Your reaction now that you've had a chance to go through it, is it what you thought it was going to be, and are you unimpressed?
It is what I thought it was going to be in terms of focusing on the payments that were made, the falsification of the records, and really tied to the payment that was made to Stormy Daniels. In terms of a case that's being brought against a former president, it's a little underwhelming. There's not more to it. There's not more violations, tax violations. There's not an incredible new set of facts that we didn't know about publicly. It's really the facts of this case as they have existed for basically almost 7 years.
And underwhelming. No new information. Now, while the leftoids in the comments section are coping, what about the legal system was supposed to be entertaining? Carry on. He is facing criminal charges and prison time. It's not an episode of The Apprentice, buckwheat. I'd say 34 felonies is pretty overwhelming. Is it really 34 supposed felonies? What it really is 34 trumped up charges, duplicating or replicating charges. They're all the same damn thing, but not only trumped up charges, misdemeanors which are being bumped up to felonies, which even CNN admits Alvin Bragg is using a complicated combination of laws to indict Donald Trump. The legal theory isn't exactly as sound as Democrats think it is, and let's continue to use CNN's own analysis to debunk the leftist narrative.
The core conduct that is charged in this indictment is the payment of hush money. Now, payment of hush money is not a crime. It's not a federal crime. It's not a state crime. So how did they get here to state charges? They're relying on a state law that makes it, in the first instance, a misdemeanor to falsify business records. These are the repayments to Michael Cohen that were falsely logged within the Trump organization as legal fees when they were not legal fees. One of the complicated legal questions here is, in order to bump that up from a misdemeanor to a felony, you have to show that those records were falsified to commit some other crime, some second crime. Now, the indictment does not specify what that second crime is. You heard the defense lawyers, I think rightly, complaining about that. The whole purpose of an indictment is to serve notice on the defendant of what exactly you're charged with and what exactly you're going to be defending yourself against. Now, D.A. Bragg, again, who is a former colleague of mine, just clarified that a bit. He said federal campaign laws, there's going to be a legal question there. He said state campaign laws. I'm not sure how violations related to a presidential election would count as state campaign laws. There may be some creative argument there. And he did say in passing, and it's mentioned one time in the statement of facts, tax fraud. Now, there's no indication that they actually claimed a deduction. In fact, I believe they did not claim a deduction on this, but perhaps the theory is this was the plan. In terms of the evidence, it is clear that Michael Cohen is the star witness. He is referred to over and over again in the statement of facts. He is quoted at length in the statement of facts during his prior his prior prosecution federally.
The indictment itself fails to even specify the actual crime that was committed, supposedly connected to the fraudulent business record activity. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. An indictment is supposed to specify the actual crime so that Trump's defense can, well, defend him. Alvin Bragg essentially leaves it open. I guess up for interpretation. Here's Alvin Bragg's response.
And they were done to conceal another crime, but the indictment does not specifically say what those crimes were. We are assuming, perhaps, that they might be election-related. I'm wondering if you can specify what laws were also broken.
Right. So let me say as an initial matter, the indictment doesn't specify that because the law does not so require.
The indictment doesn't specify because the law does not so require.
Are you sure about that?
This whole thing has become so laughable, such a freaking parody, that even Donald Trump's most fervent detractors, his greatest critics, are coming out in defense of him, again, on CNN.
Big picture, what do you think of the indictment?
Well, speaking as someone who very strongly does not want Donald Trump to get the Republican presidential nomination, I'm extraordinarily distressed by this document. I think this is even weaker than I feared it would be. And I think it's easily subject to being dismissed or a quick acquittal for Trump.
Even John Bolton says that this Trump case will get easily dismissed or have a quick acquittal. All this for what? I mean, the constant leftist coping. How many times have you heard leftists on Twitter? Shut up, right-wing chud. You don't even know what's in the indictment. There's some new bombshell evidence and information that'll only be revealed once the indictment becomes unsealed. Yeah, I'm not so sure about that one. Legal experts are all chiming in and they're all saying the exact same thing.
So I think this indictment, even before you get to the statute of limitations and whether he's got jurisdiction to enforce federal law, I would dismiss it on its face because it fails to state a crime. Here, it fails to state a crime 34 times.
Well, as you said, and the press conference showed, Bragg says, oh, it's because he was fixing the books to conceal another crime. He nowhere explains in the indictment or in the statement of facts what that other crime is. We're left hanging. And if we don't know, I think this is a huge hole in the indictment. I think the defense attorneys are going to be all over it, especially if Bragg tries to say, oh, it's about somehow defrauding the entire voting public of New York or of the whole country.
The overall response that I have to all of this is it's less significant than I thought it would be in the first place. Now, if anyone looks at this indictment, they will realize also that in addition to being insufficient on its face, it is duplicitous. And what that means is they've got, if you look at the first four counts, they all occurred on February 14th of 2017. That means you've got the same course of conduct. They're just looking at it differently. Okay, so nobody get excited about the 34 counts. They're meaningless.
I mean, the conclusion that most people are coming to reading this indictment is that there's literally no underlying crime even referenced. Yet Soros-funded district attorney clown Alvin Bragg is making statements like this.
We cannot and will not normalize serious criminal conduct.
We cannot and will not normalize serious criminal conduct, says the guy who literally downgraded 52% of felony cases to misdemeanors in New York City. But again, I don't even know what serious criminal conduct he's referring to because his indictment doesn't even specify. He himself says he doesn't even need to specify because the law does not so require. And when pressed on that point, this is what he said.
Why did Donald Trump repeatedly make these false statements? The evidence will show that he did so to cover up crimes relating to the 2016 election. Donald Trump, executives at the publishing company American Media Incorporated, Mr. Cohen, and others agreed in 2015 to a catch and kill scheme. That is, a scheme to buy and suppress negative information to help Mr. Trump's chance of winning the election.
Suppressing negative information to help his chances of winning the 2016 election. That's interesting, because if that's a crime, then the FBI is certainly guilty. FBI paid Twitter $3.5 million to do its bidding. Taxpayers' money was used to suppress the Hunter Biden laptop story. I think I finally know what crime Alvin Bragg is referring to. It just has nothing to do with Trump or the Trump campaign or the Trump organization, and everything to do with the FBI, the DNC, Hillary Clinton, and the Bidens. What an absolute farce this indictment is. All this for nothing. You know, I kept saying in my analysis, Alvin Bragg better have something, and something big, something we haven't seen, something new, real evidence, undeniable evidence, and it turns out he has nothing. I mean, I'm no legal expert, but I honestly don't even feel like he has jurisdiction to be charging this case in the first place, or to be bumping it up to a felony. He's bumping it up to a felony, claiming Donald Trump created a federal election campaign violation. How is a Manhattan district attorney bringing felony charges on a supposed federal election crime or violation? Wouldn't that be the FEC's job? Oh wait. And so we're back to square one. It turns out that Democrats telling us just wait for the indictment to drop, wait for this new information, this new evidence to drop. It turns out that it was all smoke and no fire, a big fat nothing burger. Absolutely nothing has changed. Our analysis has been 100% spot on. And even with all this hype and all this anticipation, even leftoids at CNN are disappointed with the end result. Well, if things go the way that they should, it's going to be a whole lot of disappointment on the left side. I just hope that it all culminates in the ultimate disappointment of losing to Donald Trump in 2024. You know, all this speak of justice these days, Donald Trump absolutely BTFOing the whole lot of them in the next election cycle, to me, seems like the only real form of justice here. That's what I got for you guys. Basically nothing new. A big fat nothing burger. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, folks, and I'll see you on the next one.